What's up, dudes and dudettes? Customer of the Week, episode 7. I know it's been a while since I've seen you last. That's because we've been extremely busy, and busy is a good thing. So, beautiful spring day. You can't see right now, but I'm looking at flowers blooming in my garden. It's pretty amazing. Nice sunlight, green grass. I love this time of year. Just in time for allergy season. All right, anyways. So, I just got off the phone with this woman, and I'm making a point this year, 2021, to get enough sleep, to be nice when I answer the phone, and to also not reply to messages or emails when I'm cranky and I'm tired, okay? So I'm really trying really hard to be nice to these customers. Anyway, so we have this lady who calls me, Chinese lady, and she says, do you do classes and training? I'm looking to buy a gun, and I looked online and I saw that your store is really close. You're really close to me, and I live in Cupertino. And I'm like, well, kind of. Yeah, we are fairly close to you, but I don't think we're that close. I don't think we're as close as you think we are. Because as you know, for Yelp, you have to have like a location. Yelp is very much like a location-centric type small business advertising service, right? Or not advertising, but just, you can find businesses in your local area. So I have it set just for San Jose and the general region with the whole zip code. So she says, well, I saw that you have a store in San Jose, don't you? With a shooting range. I'm like, we have our training facility, but I'm in San Jose, but you don't want me, you want the facility. And she's like, oh, that's so far. I'm like, okay, well, she comes to me telling me like, well, I want to buy a gun. I want to buy a gun for self-defense. I want to try out different types of guns. I want to learn about them. I'm like, great. Well, if that's what you want, I can do those things for you. So you make a decision. Is it too far and you don't want to go? Or do you want this and you just drive an hour and a half and you got it? So complaint number 1, oh, you're too far. Then she says, okay, cool. Well, how much does this class cost? I'm like, well, it's $75 for tuition, it's $80 for ammunition. Looks like you should be taking the beginner class, firearm safety and self-defense. Very reasonable, right? She's like, okay, cool. Well, when you have this class coming up, when's the next available? April 30th, which is like a month from now, right? So it's a month from now. She's like, oh, that's so far away. I want a gun now. I just got my FSC, my firearm safety certificate. For those who aren't in California, you need to have this little identification card thing. You just fill out a 30 question test. And then you pay a $25 tax to the state, and the state allows you to buy guns. She's like, I just got my FSC today. Oh, I want to buy a gun now. I want to go learn about guns. I'm like, well, okay, all right. If you want it at that price, $75 a person, well, then you're going to have to wait for it. And a lot of people want it. So that's why our classes are booked up for, March and April. So you got to wait till the end of April. She's like, okay, well, how long is this training going to take? I'm like, well, it's a whole day class. She's like, a whole day? Okay, so what complaints have we got so far? I'm scared that the times are crazy. California is unsafe. I feel unsafe. I want to get a gun. I want to get a gun now. But I want to be close by. I want to get the training right now with all the different types of guns that I want to shoot. I want it to be cheap. I want it to be short and convenient on the scheduling, and then. And then so she's like, okay, well, for $80 for ammunition, well, how much ammunition does that cover? I'm like, look, it's plenty of ammunition. It's a lot of ammunition, and you're going to be able to try like 10 or 12 different types of guns. She's like, well, how many shots is that? Is that like 100 shots? Is it like 20 shots each? Like, how many shots is that? I'm like, look, at this stage, I didn't tell her this, but at this stage, you don't know how much is a lot, right? So just trust me, it's a lot, okay? It's a lot of information. It's a freaking long day with a lot of training, a lot of different material, and you're gonna try a lot of different guns. You will achieve your goal for sure, and then some. And then she's like, well, I don't wanna wait till the end of April. I'm like, okay, all right. So like we could do a private class, I'll do it for you tomorrow. And she's like, well, how much is a private class? Okay, it was $995 for a group, per day, and I'll supply all the guns and ammunition. Then she's like, oh, well, I don't want to go by myself. Maybe because I'm scared because I'm a beginner. Maybe I want to bring some people, maybe let me talk to some people. Maybe they can come with me. I'm like, okay, all right. How can I help you? You don't want, so you call a couple places that are like right in your town, in Cupertino, which is a very small town, and they're closed, or they're not in business, or they're not serving customers because they got no inventory or something. So then you move out to San Jose, which is like, just in your tiny little area, you're so sheltered in your little bubble that San Jose is like, oh my God, okay, I'm going to broaden my bubble. And then now all of a sudden, we're just outside, just right here, just outside the city. Like, I don't think you understand. You can't have a training facility in the city. Like, it just doesn't work like that. You got to leave the city in order to find a place like this. And she's like, oh, that's so far. Don't you have like an indoor range? Don't you have like an indoor range like close by in the city, closer, just so I could try this? I was like, why do you want to be on an indoor range? For those who don't know, an indoor range is full of lead. It is dark. It is really loud. It is dirty. It is like, this is a toxic environment that will give you cancer and you will die of, genetic deformities or whatever. Because of all the lead pollution that you're going to be ingesting or inhaling into that place. You can't talk to each other, which means you can't do a class. Indoor ranges are very small and very cramped, which means they're trying to efficiently get people in and get people out. So like, there is no time to stop and talk in an indoor range. Like, you're shooting or you're leaving. Like, those are the only two things that you can do. So if you want to learn these things, you want to learn how to use a firearm, you want to learn how to be safe, you want to try out different types of guns to see what's right to purchase, fantastic, we can do that. It ain't going to be done at an indoor range, especially an indoor range that doesn't allow for rifles. And we're not going to be doing this in a space with beginners. Indoor ranges are terrible for beginners because of the noise and the concussion. It really, really messes with your body, and it makes the gun much more intimidating than it needs to be. Whereas on an outdoor range, it's like the loud noise, it's loud, but you put in your ears and it's not a big deal because you don't have this concussion reverberating off the walls and back into your body. Oh, but of course, what I say doesn't matter. She wants what she wants until she finds what she wants, and then she doesn't think that she actually wants it because then she wants to complain about something else. This, guys, is the entitlement of today's customer. I'm feeling unsafe. I want to buy a gun. I didn't want to buy a gun yesterday. I didn't want to buy a gun last month. I didn't want to buy a gun last year. I didn't want to buy a gun 6 months or 6 weeks ago or 6 years ago. I want to buy a gun now, and I want to try out different guns now, and I want it for cheap, and I want it for quick. And, oh, you're too far. You're too expensive. There's too many people. There's too few people. Oh, it's, you can't make this type of person happy. You can't. How am I supposed to help her? Because everything she asked me for, I can provide to her as long as she's willing to pay some tuition, pay for ammunition, and drive out to the facility and spend a little bit of time learning it. How much you want to learn is proportionate to how much time you need to spend learning it. Does that make sense? How many guns you want to shoot is proportionate to how much ammo you need to spend, how much money you need to spend on ammo to shoot those things. How many things you want to do, like how interesting or how challenging or how unique a thing you want to do, means you have to drive farther. Like, if you want to just get some gasoline, just go to any gas station that'll work. If you want to buy racing gas, you better look very carefully at where you're buying your race gas. You can't just buy race gas from anywhere, right? So you got to be willing to drive. Let's say you want to ride your dirt bike. Well, if you want to ride a bicycle, you can ride it anywhere. You want to ride your dirt bike, your motorcycle, you got to drive to some place where that allows you to drive your motorcycle, your dirt bike, right? You want to fly gliders, you can fly paper airplanes inside your house. You want to fly a real glider, you got to go and fly, drive to some place that allows you to fly gliders. You want to buy groceries, you can buy groceries anywhere. You want to buy like special Ethiopian spices to make some lamb that you eat with your hands, like fantastic, but you're going to have to go look for that. Does that make sense? How is this so complicated to understand that if you want to buy a gun and you want to seek out training and you want it on your budget and you want to do what you want to do, try out different types of guns, then you might have to drive an hour. Oh my God. That you might have to pay for tuition, that you might have to spend a little bit of time to learn this. What do you want to do? Show up for 20 minutes and I just wham, bam, here's a bunch of guns, cool, $5 and you're gone? Like, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. Welcome to the real world, my friend. Can't help her. After the end of a whole conversation on the phone, can't help her. Unrealistic expectations. Someone who doesn't know what will make them happy, you cannot make them happy as a business owner. Someone who comes to me and they know exactly what they want, they know exactly how to get it by talking to me, they know that I can provide it to them, they have some good, well thought out, detailed questions that I can answer for them to help them clarify, I can make this type of person happy. But for someone who she thinks she wants X, you give her X. Then she says she wants Y, you give her Y. She wants Z, you give her Z. And then she says, let me think about it. Can't make her happy. Peace, guys. I'm getting ready for a trip to Washington. I'll be, hopefully, if everything goes right, flying helicopters at Jerry Trimble Helicopters in Portland, or in the Portland area, and doing 4 days of sniper or precision rifle training up at Modern Day Sniper. It's going to be in Yakima, Washington, so that'll be my next week and a half, plus visiting some friends up in the area. So I will probably not see you guys very much the next week and a half, but hoping to bring back good knowledge, good material for adding and supplementing into our programs. So I love you guys. I appreciate you guys' feedback and support. I appreciate you guys' donations. I appreciate you guys coming out to class and enjoying the facility. The weather is beautiful these days in the springtime. So if you've been thinking about getting into class, do so now before it's 1,000,000 degrees. The weather is really nice up there. I'll just tell you once. All right, peace.